Have you ever stopped to think about what it would be like to watch a movie you love, but with image quality far better than when you first saw it? Imagine a classic movie like Titanic, but in such incredible quality that every detail is sharp, and you almost feel like you're inside the story. This is what 4K and 8K are bringing to our screens. In February 2023, Titanic returned to cinemas, but it wasn't the same movie from before. It was re-released in 4K, a resolution that brings an image quality far superior to what we were used to seeing. If the scenes were already emotional, now every moment felt more real. The details of the actors' faces, the waves of the sea, and even the tiny reflections in the water were clearer. Anyone who has seen the movie knows it's a classic, but watching it like this felt like discovering a new version we didn't even know we wanted. And it's not just Titanic that has undergone this transformation. This has become a trend. Remastering films and music has become more and more common. A great example is the Beatles albums, which were remastered in the past decade. This meant that fans could listen to their favorite records as if it were the first time, but with much clearer and more detailed sound quality. Now, when you listen to those songs, you can notice more details in the production, sounds that were previously unnoticed. You might be wondering, why is this happening now and not before? Well, the answer is simple. In the past, to improve the quality of images and sounds, you needed very expensive equipment that only Hollywood studios could afford. But over time, these technologies became more popular and accessible. And what's even more amazing, with the advancement of artificial intelligence, we can now improve the quality of any movie or music, even those old recordings we have stored at home. So, if you have those old home videos or recordings from when you were a kid, have you thought about watching them in 8K? With new technologies, this is already possible. But what exactly makes this quality so good? Let's find out. Now that you know how 4K and 8K are changing the quality of movies and music, you might be wondering, but how are images made so detailed? How do we manage to turn an old film into something that looks like it was filmed yesterday? To answer that question, let's take a step back in time and understand how films were made in the past. In the old days, movies were recorded on film reels, like the films you see in museums or even old cinema films. These films, known as motion pictures, were made with very good quality, often even better than what we can achieve today. However, in order to show these films in theaters, they needed to be compressed, meaning the image size was reduced to fit on screens. And when that happened, the image quality would drop a little bit. Additionally, since these films were recorded on physical film reels, they could get damaged over time. Scratches, creases, and even dirt could ruin important parts of a recording. So, even though the original film might have had amazing quality, the version we watched often wasn't as good. As time went on, technology evolved and other forms of recording came about. First, there was analog film, which was a simpler way to capture images. However, it had a slightly lower quality compared to cinematic film. Then, with the advancement of technology, digital recording came into play, and that's when the quality of images started to be measured in terms of resolution, things like 1080p, 4K, and 8K, which are the quality standards we know today. Here comes the concept of pixels. When we talk about 1080p, 4K, or 8K, we're talking about the number of small dots that form the image on the screen called pixels. The more pixels there are, the sharper and more detailed the image becomes. So, in a 1080p movie, there are about 2 million pixels in the image. In a 4K movie, that number jumps to 8 million pixels. And in 8K, the image has an impressive 33 million pixels. Imagine you have three versions of the same movie, one in cinematic film, one in analog, and one digital. If all three were recorded in 1080p, which one would be easier to transform into a higher quality, like 4K? The answer might surprise you. The cinematic film. Even though it was compressed to be shown in theaters, it still holds more hidden quality that can be revealed with the right technology. And as you can imagine, this opens up an amazing door for the future because by having access to the original versions of old movies, we can restore and enhance them in ways we never imagined. But what about films that were digital from the start? How do we improve their quality, especially if the images are 1080p, like many newer recordings of music and film? If you're watching a video recorded in 1080p and you want to see that same image in 4K or even 8K, how can you increase the resolution of something that already has a specific quality, like 2 million pixels in a 1080p video, to something with 8 million or even 33 million pixels, without losing quality? It seems like a magic trick, right? Well, actually, the key to this magic lies in artificial intelligence, AI. When we talk about improving the resolution of videos and images, we're referring to a process called upscaling, which is simply increasing the number of pixels in the image without losing quality. Before artificial intelligence, there were traditional methods to increase resolution, like interpolation. Interpolation essentially worked by trying to guess the color or value of an extra pixel that should appear between two existing pixels. For example, if you had 2 pixels, interpolation would try to predict what the color of the next pixel would be based on the two surrounding it. However, this technique wasn't perfect. Sometimes the result looked a little strange, with blurry effects or even incorrect colors. The good news is that with the advent of AI, this process has been revolutionized. Now, convolutional neural networks, a type of AI, have the ability to learn how to increase the resolution of an image accurately. Here's how it works. Imagine you have thousands of high-resolution images like 4K or 8K, and you decide to shrink these images down to a very low resolution, like 512 pixels. The trick here is that after reducing the image, you teach the AI how the low-resolution version can be transformed back into the high-resolution version, that is, into 8K. The AI learns this because, through many examples, it understands the details of the original image and figures out a way to reconstruct those details without losing quality. And the most amazing thing is that over time, the AI gets better and better at this process, so that the high-resolution image it creates becomes nearly identical to the original high-quality version, but without any loss of detail. This AI upscaling technique is so good that, in many cases, you can't even tell that the video or image was enlarged. The AI is able to preserve details and even improve the overall appearance of the image, something that older interpolation techniques couldn't do with such perfection. For example, an old film recorded in 1080p can be transformed into 4K or 8K without losing the original details and even enhancing the sharpness of the images. What once seemed impossible is now a reality, thanks to the power of artificial intelligence. Have you ever stopped to think that, in the future, you could watch a live event and see it in a much better quality than what is being broadcast? For example, imagine watching a football game in 4K, but your TV's artificial intelligence can transform that into 8K in real time, without you even realizing that the process is happening. It sounds like science fiction, right? But believe it or not, it's already being done. The answer to this lies in something called AI TVs. These are televisions with extremely powerful processors and neural networks that can analyze the content you're watching and improve the resolution on the spot. How does this work? In a pretty impressive way. These TVs use 512 different neural networks to study the image being displayed and then apply upscaling in real time, transforming the image from 4K into 8K. Imagine you're watching a football match. Your TV's AI has already been trained with thousands of images and videos of footballs, players running, stadiums full of people, and all the dynamics of the game. This means that as you're watching live, the AI knows exactly how to improve the details of the image. It makes the football sharper, enhances the texture of the grass, and even improves the definition of the players, all in real time. And the coolest part is that all of this happens automatically without you having to do anything. If you hadn't watched this video explaining the technology behind it, you probably wouldn't even notice that the image was being improved because it happens instantly with no interruptions or delays. And it's not just the image that can be improved with artificial intelligence. The audio can also be optimized in the same way. Often, when we watch movies or TV shows, we have trouble understanding the dialogue, especially in scenes with a lot of background noise. This happens because the audio quality isn't always perfect. But with artificial intelligence, the TV can take the audio from the scene, transform it into a spectrogram, and then clean it up, improving the clarity of the dialogue. This way, the voices of the characters become clearer and easier to understand, without needing to re-record the lines. This technology isn't just limited to films that have already been recorded or live event broadcasts. It can also be applied to any content you're watching, improving both the image and audio quality to give you a richer and more immersive experience. Now that we understand how artificial intelligence can improve what you see and hear in real time, the question is, what will be the next content you watch, knowing it can be instantly transformed into 8K? Have you ever thought about watching your favorite movie with a quality you never imagined possible? We are getting closer and closer to this magic. Now, you might be wondering, will this continue to evolve? The answer is yes. Over time, AI technology will become even more powerful and could even make the experience of watching any live content even more impressive and realistic. Stay tuned, because the future of entertainment is just beginning. And that brings us to the end. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.